name's John Glendon. I'm a Rotary Youth Exchange student from Canada. From Canada, I went to Auckland, New Zealand. And I'm in Fiji right now working on a project bringing tablets to kids. My role in this project is to be the group photographer, the guy who lifts the equipment, and I've taken somewhat of a teacher role. I just feel a good connection with the kids because they're so similar to my age, and I like having something that I know and pretty confident in, and then letting them know. The idea of going across the world to live with a family who you've never met, to go to a school where you don't know a single person, to go to a country where you possibly don't know the language is absolutely terrifying. I was so afraid, so scared of absolutely everything. I was scared about like the little things, like what if they don't have my favorite brand of toothpaste? But if I could give one word of advice, one sentence of advice to anybody and every kid in the world, is just do it. You won't regret it. In 6 months, I've become a different person. Emotionally, physically, mentally, I see things differently and I act differently, and I'm confident in the way of speaking to people. I can't wait just to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm so happy with where I am in my life. I'm so happy that I've been able to teach and to tell people about my experiences, to hear their stories. Rotary Youth Exchange is where my new life and my new beginnings have started, and I can't thank Rotary enough.
Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa, where Tulsa's best and brightest business and community leaders come together to do great things here in Tulsa and around the world. Thank you, Tom Wolfe, for sharing your musical talents with us. Is it not a great day in the neighborhood out there today, this weather? My goodness. If I had any cloud around here, I'd have moved this meeting outside, but here we are. So we'll make the best of it. Let's say a warm hello to those seated around you real quick. Okay, we have a great program today, so let's get started. Katie Johnson is going to lead us in our invocation. Jerry Dillon, Song and Pledge. And Michael Turner is going to introduce our visitors today. Katie.
Let us pray. Thank you for refreshing us with the cool air and the promise of change of seasons today, and the multitude of other blessings in our lives, especially as we remember those who are recovering from the ravages of recent tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, and fires. Continue to inspire us with the amazing stories of compassion and sacrifice from those who are on the scene, lending a hand to help those who are troubled. Where there is unrest, which that seems to be prevalent in many corners of our world, we pray for those in harm's way and for leaders who are navigating us through troubled times. Bless this food and fellowship. Amen.
Irving Berlin in 1918 wrote God Bless America. In 1938, he wanted to write a new one because he sensed more trouble ahead. So he went back to the old trunk and rewrote God Bless America. One phrase in there he changed because it said, to the right, let the light from above. So you'll see the words here, the new words that we all know and sing. It's a solemn prayer song. Let the storm clouds gather far across the sea. Let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. I want to echo President Mike's comments about what a beautiful day outside, and he did pledge good weather starting the fall of his term. So thank you, President Mike. Awesome. Nothing to live up to for that. Right now I'm going to introduce our guests of our Rotarians, and then I'll introduce our visiting Rotarians. We're going to do something just a slight different today. As I introduce the Rotarian, I'll ask that Rotarian to stand up, and I'll also ask their guest, their visitor, to stand up. But the membership committee, if you recall, in the last couple of weeks, kicked off the each Rotarian bring one, each one bring one membership drive for this year, and they were going to hand out something to our guests today. And thank you so much for our guests, because Michelle Place with the Tulsa Historical Society has gifted a $50 annual membership to each guest. So I don't know if it can, yeah. And maybe you haven't been in 6 months and no one recognizes you. She might kind of give you a break on that, but talk to Michelle Place or a discount. It was for $60 if you hadn't been here. Okay. All right. I'll ask my Rotarian to stand. Lynette Potter, and her guest today is Cindy Selter. Thank you. Cara Gay Neal today has with her Cody Wilson from Arvest. Good to have them. And they're going to come around and find you. If you don't get it, we'll connect with you guys later as well. Brendan Malicon, one of my most favorite Rotarians in the world. Rick Colpin is with her. There she is. Thank you. Stand, Rick. It's a privilege to be sitting there. There you go. And one of the most wonderful women of Rotary that we have with us today is the guest of President Mike, and her name is Ginger. Please stand. Did I do okay on that? Thank you. Sarah Lorenzen has Jennifer McFall with Penwell. And Tiffany, so here's where I've paused before, but when you have Rotarians that go above and beyond, sometimes their family members go above and beyond just because of who they're with and who their children are. And Tiffany Egdorf's guest today is Nurse Janice Navarro of St. Francis, but I call her kind of my nurse because she unfortunately goes to the same church and sits in the same area that I do. But she has been so wonderful for our family, and she's helped us out in a few emergencies and late night weekends, so she is a true blessing to us. So thank you, Tiffany, for bringing your mom with you today. Julie Smith has, Julie Smith, there's Julie of, oh, sorry, all I have is Julie Smith as the guest of Julie Smith. So stand twice. Jane Golly? Jane is Lane, sorry, Lane. Hey, and I'm sure everyone standing up here can read a freaking badge, okay? Just come up here and read that. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Julie Jane. Good to have you here. Monica Martin has with her today Bailey Hobson, Resolute. Good to have you here. Mr. Robert Babcock has Josh Schwing with him today. Josh, good to have you here from the ONG side. Let's give it up for our guests of our Rotarians today. And visiting Rotarians, we have Jeanette North with the Owasso Club. You don't get a ticket, though, sorry. Eric Johnson with Sunrise. And Brian Jackson with Sand Springs. Again, welcome to Rotary.
Thank you, Katie, Jerry, and Michael. Appreciate that. And welcome visitors. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll feel welcome and will consider joining us as we strive to serve the needs of those here in Tulsa and around the world. If you join us, you'll be connecting with and working alongside some of Tulsa's finest business and community leaders, and I promise you, you'll make some strong friendships that'll last a lifetime. So please consider joining us. This week's meeting sponsors are Kevin Moody with Moody's Jewelry, Daniel Ketchum, Tom Klenda and John O'Connor with Newton, O'Connor and Ketchum, Harvey Rowe with Ameritrust, and Bill and John Rothrock with Yale Cleaners. So, our meeting sponsors make contributions in addition to the dues they pay each week to help with the expenses of running a club this size, which are considerable. So to me, that's really service above self. So please join me in doing business with our weekly sponsors and your fellow Rotarians. Thanks to this week's sponsors. You're good. So week in and week out, we show a long list of volunteers who work behind the scenes to pull our weekly program together. And pulling a meeting together every week for a club this size is a considerable effort. These individuals donate their time and talents to make sure we have a meeting that is fun, entertaining, insightful, and that runs smoothly. So please join me in thanking them and seek them out after the meeting and offer them a pat on the back of gratitude. Thank you, volunteers. So now I'd like to take a few moments to introduce you to Carlo Iafisco, our inbound Rotary Exchange student. Carlo, if you want to make your way up here, please join me in welcoming Carlo to the stage. So we're going to try this out here. President Jeff and President John were so wonderful at this. So first of all, welcome to Tulsa. I just think it's so awesome that you've taken a year out of your life at this young age to go on this adventure. I'm envious of you, and we want to welcome you not only to Tulsa but to our club, and know that we'll be here to support you. So I thought we'd take just a few minutes to maybe get to know you a little better. So maybe we could start off with an easy little softball pitch here. If you could just tell us a little bit about your family, the town you're from, and maybe the school, some of your friends.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Carlo. I come from Milan in Italy, which is in the north, and it's a very big city. It has almost 2 million citizens right now, and it's so different. Like everything, every day here I see something new, and I don't even know where to start. So I'll start from the family. Like. It really depends by the part of Italy where you come from, but usually in the north, and mostly in Milan, it's more like kind of like New York, I guess. The families are really small. You don't live with your other relatives other than your parents or maybe siblings, and so we never have like large family meetings. Like I think that most of you do here in Tulsa, and I think that it's wonderful to see how here you're all friendly and you spend a lot of times with your family. But unfortunately, in Milan, I cannot say the same. because most of the parents work a lot, so I find myself most of the time like spending the evenings with my friends other than my parents, which right now is great for me because I'm a teenager, but I think that I will probably regret this later on in my life. And about my school, like school in Italy is the complete opposite from school here. You don't choose the classes that you take. You choose like the kind of school, and you already have all the subjects that you have to take. I personally do a scientific school, which is really hard. We study like 4 hours of math each day, and you don't really get to know a lot of people at school because you have the same classmates for each class. And so I think that I actually know more people at Bishop Kelly in these 3 weeks than I knew in like 7 years of school in Italy, which is great. I mean, at the end of the day, by going from a classroom to another, maybe I'm a bit tired because I'm not used to it, but I think that it's worth it because you meet a lot of wonderful people. While in Italy, maybe you build a stronger link with your classmates, but at the end, you only know like 25 people in the entire school. And that's it, or
I have more questions for you. Yes. So, leaving your family and friends and country to come over here for 9 months to a year is, to me, a very courageous act. What motivated you to take this step?
I don't know. Well, first of all, this is like my last year of freedom, I think, because next year I will have the final exams, which in Italy are 3 exams that last 6 hours each, and you basically spend the entire year preparing yourself for them, as they will be your main opportunity to get to the college where you want to go. So I think that this is actually my last year where I won't be like studying really hard or working. So I actually wanted to do something different from the past years, and I think that improving my knowledge of English, improving my pronunciation and my ability to understand what the other people say is really important. And I also wanted to try something completely different. So I'm really happy to have this opportunity. I didn't know about the Rotary Youth Exchange until a friend of my family who's a Rotarian in Milan actually told me about this, and I was more than happy to do it. I think that the Rotary is a great place, full of great people who are actually spend their time into helping students, but not only to have these wonderful experiences. So I'm really grateful for everything. Thank you so much.
So you're here in the United States for like 9 months, right? 11 months. Oh, sweet. So what are a couple things that you hope to experience while you're over here?
Well, first of all, I think that it might sound weird, but the food, because yeah, in Italy we mostly eat only Italian food. I think that we eat pasta like 400 times each year. Like seriously, at least once a day we eat pasta. I'm not joking. It's for real. And I always like big meat and hamburgers. So I'm more than happy to actually have the possibility to do this without having all the other people looking at me like, "Whoa, you're not eating Italian food." So it's great, and I think that at the end of this experience, my mind will be a lot more open than right now, because I think that by growing in the same place without experiencing other cultures, you might be a little narrow-minded at the end. So I think that this is gonna help me a lot, because I mean it's basically the complete opposite. The first day I arrived here, I saw a girl that was driving a car, and she was like younger than me, and the first thing I thought was, when the police finds out, she's gonna be in great trouble. But then I saw another couple of cars, and I was like, maybe here it's a normal thing. And this happens for the cars, but happens for pretty much everything. I mean, in Italy, I have a lot of freedom. I can go wherever I want, but here, without the driving license, I can't even go like buying an ice cream if I want, because I will have to like walk for a couple of hours. And so I think that is gonna really change my way of seeing a lot of stuff that in Italy I always consider normal, but that here aren't, and the opposite. Like, there's a lot of things that maybe here you think that are normal, but if you go in Italy, they're like crazy, and a lot of people don't even think about the possibility of them existing. So it's really weird, but it's great.
Well, Carlo, thank you again. We're just going to love having you here this year. We'll have you back, and we'll love to hear about your adventures here in Tulsa in the United States. And know that you've got 360 friends here that if you ever need anything, we're here to help, support you, and wish you the best. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Welcome, Carlo. That is one amazing young man right there. So thank you to Tricia Kirkstra, Duff Weddle, Jerry Stamper, Alicia Herrera, and Tony Oliva for working with our inbound and outbound Rotary Exchange students. Let's give them a thank you. Okay, some announcements. We're heading to Celia Clinton, our adopted school, on September 27th. We will not be meeting here. We'll be meeting at Celia Clinton, September 27th. We'll say it a few more times. Sign-up cards are on the table. We need to know how many people are coming because we'll be serving boxed lunches there. And staying on the topic of Celia Clinton, our adopted class, we're about 2/3 of the way to our goal of $9,000. Remember, this money goes towards buying each of the teachers. We try to buy them 2 gift cards so they can buy supplies for their classroom, so they don't have to dig into their own pockets to do that. So we're almost there. Let's see if we can raise that last $3,000 and help them out. And if you're still looking for a committee to join or would like to join another one, the education committee would be a great one to get involved in. You can see John Hare, he's the committee chair. This is a great committee that not only are you touching a lot of lives, but you're going to be touched by a lot of lives yourself. So I would encourage you to give some consideration to that. Okay, Hurricane Harvey, which our guest speaker just left. Rotary District 6200 Foundation, again, is collecting money if you want to give through Rotary to help out the people down there. Details are on the screen there. If you can't jot those down, get with Rochelle or myself, and we'll get you the information on how to give there. So our club assembly with District Governor Judy Brigham is next week, next Tuesday, 5:30 to 7:30 at the 810 building downtown here. We'd love to have anyone and everyone, quite frankly. It's a great opportunity to hear what your club is doing. This is our chance to kind of brag about ourselves, and being the largest club in the largest district in the world, we've got it going, and so I would encourage you to come. We will have food and drinks, and so if you can attend, get with Rochelle and let her know so we can make sure we have enough food and drinks available. And then our good friend Bob Rorshaw is under the weather. And so we've got cards on the table to sign. If you wouldn't mind, pass him a note of encouragement. We miss Bob and hope we can have him back here at our meetings soon. Committee meetings today. Communications is meeting in room 233. And then Club Foundation Grants is meeting in room 234. Charles, you the man.
I'm gonna keep it mellow this week.
Mellow? I didn't know you did mellow.
I strained my neck with all that hair on my head. It had been years since I had that much hair on my head.
So you got it shaved off there.
I took it back down a little bit.
Yeah.
So Carlo, welcome to America. And to make you feel at home, especially after what you just said, I'm glad we could serve Italian food for you today. I thought, we'll have steaks for you next time. Come June, okay? All right. I'm counseling a young man who went to Japan, Garrett Travener, and we've been exchanging emails, and he asked me for some advice, and I said duck. That was Sunday morning. So anyway, you guys, nobody gets that? Well, he did, and then he ordered duck. Okay, so here we go. Let's see here. Oh, our first one up, President Mike Holman, $50. Hannibal Johnson, our president-elect, had a wonderful article in the paper, and it's in Tulsa World, 10 things you can do to help dismantle the systematic injustice. If you haven't read it, take a moment to go online and take a read there. It's a very, very well done. Thank you, Hannibal, for doing such a good job. All right, I wanted to be a first for everything, and I think this is the first one we can bring up Britney Spears in a Rotary meeting. Is Jan Laub here, though? Where's Jan? Is she here? Oh,
no,
well,
Jan?
You guys got to give Jan a hard time. She's doing her best. Boy, excuse me. Whoa, and there's a reason why this is the last time we bring Britney Spears up. You can take look at her. She's got her head hidden. Any way to articulate better. She's doing her best Britney Spears here. So anyway, I will get with Jan to find her, although I think I should be fined. So we'll see that next week. Wow, okay.
I don't think we should redo that one next week, Charles.
I know. I'm going to come down hard on myself. All right, Trish Kirkstra, Brad Athermatten had passed this along. She was on Channel 8. Last weekend they had their wine and jazz festival. And the amazing thing about this was she did do her wine tasting before she went on the air, and she literally was able to handle this whole thing asleep. If you'll notice, her eyes are shut. And I went back and watched it. They never opened up. So she was trying a little red, a little white, but anyway, congratulations to her. I heard it was a great time. And I will be getting with her again. All right. And then Cara Gay Neal finding herself $75 on behalf of our music man, Bob Sade. Bob, he was featured both in Tulsa People and Greater Tulsa News Reporter. What is it, 70 years your company has been? That's amazing. That's really, yeah. Congratulations. Bob's a wonderful man, and so glad to be having part of our lives. And it is football season, so we must bring up the Knolls' wonderful dedication of tickets to these upcoming games. We've got OU versus Tulane on September 16th. Hopefully they'll still be undefeated at that time. And then on the 23rd, we have OSU versus TCU, which, based on what I saw last Saturday, that's the only Texas team that's going to give any Oklahoma teams a hard time. So I would suggest if you want to go see a good game, TCU, OSU, and of course, as always, if you go down to Stillwater, the Knolls will take you out to dinner and get you a bite to eat, so that's fun as well. So there's bidding outside, so take advantage of that. And then my photo of the week, to be honest with you, I came across this, and it looks like our Rotarian of the day, Dale, it looks like you kind of just holding court up here saying, someday I am going to be Rotarian of the day. And look what happened. I won't say how many years later, but a few years later. So anyway, give me a call. Be happy to help you out. Thank you all. Have a great week.
Thanks, Charles. One of the things I love about Rotary is the people that you meet and the friends you make. And I'm so thankful for Hannibal. Hannibal and I actually grew up in the same town over in Fort Smith, Arkansas. And our paths did not cross then, but they've crossed through Rotary. And I'm a better person for knowing Hannibal. I appreciate him stretching me, making me look at things a little differently. And so Hannibal, thank you for all you're doing for our club. Becky Fields, our membership chair, who's doing such a great job.
Well, in case you missed it, September is our membership drive month, and our theme for the year is 52 of you. And the reason we're doing that is we would like to add 52 new members, and I just want you to think back to the time whenever someone invited you and all the things that you've been able to experience since becoming a member of Rotary. So don't be stingy. Get out and start inviting your friends and share what we have to offer. So here are a few highlights of what you need to know about the membership drive for September. Our goals are to have 100 guests at our meetings in September, just to invite your friends, let them know what we're doing here. And we'd like 7 new applications for new members in September. That's our goal, is 7 new members. And to help you reach this goal, we're going to give some incentives. The first very exciting incentive is the initiation fee that's $358 has been discounted to $120 for this month of September. So that's a good way to get someone that maybe has been on the fence to get that amount discounted down. There are some incentives for guests and Rotarians who bring them. As you saw today, we have some very generous Rotarians who have donated some gifts, and so you'll be able to participate every week during the week of September in those gifts. So that's exciting. And every Rotarian who sponsors a member in September will be entered into our grand prize drawing, which is a weekend for 4 at the lovely Shangri-La Resort on Grand Lake. So we'll have more information about that next week, but just keep inviting people and do what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. And Michelle, thank you for donating the membership to the Tulsa Historical Society. We appreciate that. That's a big boost. Appreciate it. Okay, Rotarian of the Day is Del Dreyer. Del is a partner with Catalyst Financial Group. He joined our club in 1982 and served as our president from 2009 to 2010. He's a Paul Harris Fellow, Club Foundation Fellow, and was Rotarian of the Year in 2004 to 2005. Originally from Indiana, couldn't tell by the tractor there, Del began his career as a corporate accountant in Chicago. Outside of work in Rotary, Del follows all kinds of sports. He plays golf, tennis, and of course basketball. Del and his wife, Jan, have 3 daughters and 8 grandchildren. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Rotarian of the Day, Del Dreyer.
Thank you, President Mike. Now, I'm just curious, since you brought that tractor up, I'd like, by a show of hands, how many of you drove one of those red machines out on the farm and actually did some work with it, beside me? Oh, quite a few. Good, good. All red ones, right? Okay. Charlie, I'm glad that you were subdued today in your presentation. It's my privilege today to introduce Mark Pendergast, Director of Trusts and Estates for Heritage Auctions. Heritage Auctions is the 3rd largest auction house in the country. They did over $850 million in sales last year. Mark earned his degree in art history from Vanderbilt University and began his career with a national dealer in private sales. He joined Christie's in 1998 before moving to the Houston office of Heritage Auctions in 2009. He now serves there as Director of Trusts and Estates. And since joining the Heritage Auctions, he's brought to market important collections of fine art, rare coins, jewelry, vintage guitars, firearms, and the like. He's also co-authored the Collector's Handbook, a guide to tax planning and strategy in estate advice for collectors and heirs. Please help me welcome Mark to the podium. And just before I do, you should know that I emailed him, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday, and said, how are you doing, since he lives in Houston? He said, I'm high and dry and okay, but I cannot leave my neighborhood because the streets are all flooded. On a normal drive yesterday that takes him 30 or 40 minutes to get to the airport, he spent over 2 hours just to be here with us today. So give him a rousing welcome, please.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Del. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Tim, for inviting me, and I appreciate y'all welcoming me here to Tulsa. It's been a little bit of a journey. I'll give you that. It was quite interesting yesterday at the airport and around, but you know what? Nonetheless, I wanted to be here, so glad to be here. So, based on the introduction that Dell gave me, I don't have to go into all the background here, and also we're running kind of short in time, so I want to make sure that we kind of get through what I wanted to say. Heritage Auctions, we're the third largest auction house in the world now, after Christie's and Sotheby's. I was with Christie's for 10 years and then joined Heritage, and it's quite an interesting company. It started in the 1970s, and we claim fame to being the largest American-based auction house. And what Heritage has done is we've grown out of our basis of rare coins into all areas of fine and decorative arts, but we kind of hold the market for collectibles. So everything from comic books to sports memorabilia to watches. I'm looking at the picture here, but so we do real well with those. As Christie's and Sotheby's has moved to the higher end of the art market, it's allowed a company like Heritage to really kind of grow in short order. And so, you all know me now, and you can give me a call anytime. The art and collectibles market is important to follow if you are a collector or if you advise collectors. I know a lot of you all that have clients that collect whatever it may be. And so I welcome you to contact me or just keep base yourself as to what's going on. It's hard to see there, but Van Gogh and Picasso are up right now. But just like any other stock market, any bond market, it's good to pay attention to what's going on, whether it's the rare guitars or the sports collectibles or whatever it is. If you do collect, it's good to check out what's going on. And so in terms of an auction house or an appraiser, I'm an appraiser as well as an auctioneer, we look at 5 different factors that affect value. And so we look at provenance. Provenance is the history of ownership. It's really kind of beyond that. It's kind of where things have lived in their life. We look at the rarity of something. That can determine value. The quality. Is it a better painting or a lesser painting by the same artist? Condition. Condition is really important in terms of coins and comic books, say. Fashion. What's going on in the market today? So some examples here. So here's a average hat from the 1960s. It's a nice fedora. If you found it in Grandpa's attic or sitting in his closet, I don't know, what would you pay for that? It's, 1960s, it's good condition, it's a nice New York hat maker, maybe pay $100, something like that. But if you put it on the right person's head at the right moment in time, and it's sitting on Jack Ruby's head, and it's documented as that hat, it sells for $53,000. So that's a good example of provenance there, why provenance can turn a very common item into something quite valuable. So talking about rarity now. All right, so here's a common dollar bill. It's actually this woman walked into my office in Houston, well, I guess it's probably 5 years now ago, and she noticed something strange about this bill. Does anybody see anything that's different? Serial numbers, yeah, there you go. So she cashed her check at the Chase Bank down the street from me, and she noticed that the serial numbers were that different. Now, it's not so rare to see 1 or 2 numbers displaced, and they can sell for $100, $200, something like that. But we've never seen one with this many serial numbers mismatched, which is crazy. It just doesn't happen. So in this case, rarity can really drive the value. We estimated this dollar bill, and it's a 1998 series. We estimated at $2,000 to $3,000. She was floored, and by far it exceeded her check that she cashed, and it sold for $10,000, which is incredible. So check your wallets. You might have a better chance of winning the lottery than finding one of these, but it's out there, so keep looking. So quality is really important, especially in art. Inherent quality of an artist or a painting or whatever it may be, a furniture maker can really drive the value. And this is a porthole painting by the artist Rembrandt Peale, who's considered the kind of the greatest, one of the greatest American portrait artists. He was interesting enough. He was the only one that George Washington let paint him, like let sit for him during his life. And so then he carried that into a full career where he would churn these out pretty much, but he was still a very good artist. And this is a painting that would have been commissioned for back in the 1800 for around $5,000. We sold this recently for $650,000. And it's a great example of a high quality painting, portrait of George Washington. So condition, that's another kind of point. I'm checking my time there, make sure we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. So condition is really important. Like I said, in coins and collectibles, and like comic books, or things like where there's a lot of the same kind of deal, it works also with like fine art prints. So here's an example. This is your Batman #1 in a 9.2, which is graded out of a 10-point scale. It's a $850,000 comic book, and we sold that 2 years ago to a private collector. And a 0.5 grade, it's still a valuable comic book, but it's $6,500. So quite a bit difference. And so like I get calls all the time, people saying, oh, I've got this super rare coin or comic book or whatever it is, and I have to explain the fact that, you know, condition can be everything in terms of those collectible fields. So I'm happy to talk to you all after that. And when you say, oh, I've got this rare, da-da-da-da, let's talk about condition first, because it can make all the difference in terms of value. And so last concern in terms of value that we look at is fashion. What's going on in the wider market? So right now, like handbags, super hot, especially Hermes handbags. And because of the influence of the Asian, Middle East, Russian markets, has really driven those prices up considerably. And what we're seeing is actually Heritage was the first one to start doing auctions specific to what we call luxury accessories, but they're basically just Hermes handbags. And so things like a Nilo crocodile purse like this, we sold this for $300,000, which is just absolutely incredible, right? It's a fact. We have auctions of luxury accessories, handbags, 4 times a year in Hong Kong, New York, Chicago now, and Dallas. And each of those auctions do over $3 million. It's such a wide international market, and it's basically a show of wealth. Rather than having the big old diamond on your wrist, it's a show of wealth to only people that know. And so, but it's a wide, varied market that's seeing, you know, just great numbers. So if y'all got Hermes handbags, let me know. And so, so overall, we're talking about all these different categories of factors of value. The specialty markets, though, are important. So if you all have, again, if you have your own collections or clients that have collections, the specialty markets can be very specific to value. And so, like, here we go. Everybody recognize that down the left? Right? It's out the Gilcrease, right? It's the Hauser. And I put up this slide, obviously, because it's all Tulsa related. But Billy Sims, who was he? All right, we all know. Gotcha. So, okay, so I'm just going to give you numbers here because we're running out of time. Let's see, the bill up there, see, now that's only rated a 15 actually it's on a 70-point scale for currency. And it's the only known example of a Tulsa bill from that series. And that brought $7,500. The Allenhauser, it was estimated $10,000 to $15,000, and it brought over $20,000. It's a small scale version. It's only 10.5 inches. Let's see, the Billy Sims, it was his 1978 Heisman winning game-worn jersey, and it still had all the dirt on it. It sold for $14,000. And then the movie poster there, which I understand is Will Rogers is the favorite son of Tulsa, right? Right, we love him. So that sold for, let's see, $3,500. So and let me just leave you with this before we have to go. I think we're right. We're time, right? Okay, good. So in terms of like the logistics of what we do as a business, I wanted to kind of go over just as a practical point. I'm an appraiser as well as an auction specialist, right? So when you see things that come up to auction, they're going to have an auction estimate. So here is an example of this ring that came out of San Antonio a couple years back. We estimated it at $100,000 to $150,000. For an appraisal purposes, we would have valued this for fair market purposes at $125,000. So right in the middle of that auction estimate. Now the difference between fair market value and retail replacement cost. So for insurance purposes, if you're going to insure your collection or your jewelry or your wine or whatever it is, you want that retail replacement value. That's the cost that you're going to have to pay to go replace it in the retail market. So the difference thing there is the fair market value is going to be considerably less. And so like a lot of times I get calls from people saying, I've got this insurance appraisal for my painting and it's at $200,000. And then I have to check in with our specialists or experts in all the different areas, have to tell them that, well, our auction estimate, what you really can fair marketly expect to see from that is around $100,000 to $150,000. Now, nature of auction is such that it may go a lot higher, it may do the $200,000, but the fact is that retail is a lot different market than the secondary auction market. And so just want you all to be understanding of that. So when you do call me and you say, oh, I've got this insurance appraisal saying that my collection is worth $500,000, and then I turn around and tell you, well, realistically, it's around $200,000, you don't get mad at me. So, end of the day, things are valued at what they sell for. So at auction, that ring sold for $110,000, which is right in the scope of kind of what we expected it to. So that's it. I've got enough time to take questions. You all have any questions that, oh, there you go. Yes, sir.
Obviously, values of these types of items are based on supply and demand. And with the proliferation of sites like eBay, your site, where you can bid online, obviously the supply has gone way up, but yet it seems the demand, especially younger people, is just non-existent in this world.
Yeah, so like areas like stamps, like we stopped selling stamps 5 years ago. The younger interest in stamps is just gone. And our average age of our buyers in our stamp auctions when we held them was like 83 years old, and there just wasn't any interest. The coins and currency still carried today into the younger buyers. What eBay's done though is that it's opened up to kind of the availability of a lot of kind of lower value things. So if you're looking for, that tricycle that you grew up with, you can find it now. So what used to be maybe, you had to search it out and pay $500 for, now you can buy it for $50 on eBay. What we deal with is a different market. It's kind of, a couple steps up from that. Basically, we're handling things that are $1,000 or more, but we're looking at, we have to kind of delve through all those issues. And so it kind of, it just depends on the category and what it is and what we can, what the true value is today, because it has changed the market for sure. It's amazing. Like the younger collectors, like they're still in the coin market because it's an investment. It's still money, and I see them there. In modern contemporary art, you're still buying the Warhols, things like that. Your silver, done. Like your value of your silver, brown, what we call brown furniture, your traditional English furniture is just the market has just dropped out because no one wants that. People are looking for that modern contemporary look, that clean, minimalist kind of aesthetic. Yeah, I see people, like that's where I want to live, right? Like nice and clean. Grandma's furniture, not so cool, right? It's just a fact. So, yes, sir.
Can you tell us your most fun story of a provenance of something which you uncovered?
Oh, see, well, it's a number of years ago. I was in Houston. I was working for Christie's. At the time, they no longer have. They used to have a teddy bear auction, right, out of England, out of London. Just catching on to your accent there. But and so so I got a call from a guy, and he's like, "Oh, I got my great uncle's teddy bear under my bed in a plastic bag." And I was like, "All right, well, you got to send me some pictures. I don't know what that is. What do you mean?" He sends me some pictures, and I recognize it as a stiff bear. I mean, I know the market, right, a little bit. And sent it over to our specialist, our expert in England, and he was just ecstatic. He was just like, "Oh, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen." Thing turns out to be, it was, oh gosh, what was the name of it? It was Barry. And it was the weirdest thing, because he was like, "Well, it's a great-looking bear. It's just perfect condition." And we'd feature it on the cover of our auction catalog. And right, we expected to sell for around $20,000 to $30,000. I'm like, "You're kidding me?" And he goes, "What makes it so cool is the fact that it should be a she bear, not a he bear, because it was missing its skirt." And apparently, the guy, the great uncle, had put away the skirt because he was a guy, and he didn't want a girl bear. And the skirt was in immaculate conditions, beautiful blue, felt blue, and then the jacket that it was wearing was like much more like worn and you know, just seen its life. And so it was very cool. Ended up selling for just over $30,000. That was kind of a fun one. Yes, sir.
Short of a bonus Wagner, is there any kind of a market for sporting cards anymore?
Yeah, very much so. It's a very strong market. We sell just over $30 million a year in sports memorabilia. So everything from like the game use stuff to the cards themselves. But yeah, it's a very wide market. The tricky thing with cards, though, is that most of the time people have cards that are from the 70s forward. Really the value's in 60s and earlier. So that's just a fact. There are some rookie cards, you know, if you got a Jordan card or whatever, you know, rookie card, yeah, they got some value. But most of the time, what we see, the reason why the earlier ones are valuable, because people don't have them. Basically, your mom threw away your cards and your comic books when you went to college, right? It's just a fact. So that's why they're valuable now. And the whole point of collecting is regaining your childhood, you know? It's like I'm a kid of the 80s, and like, yeah, I'm collecting 80s stuff. That's what I do. You know, people they grew up in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, that's what they're collecting, and they have the money now to pay the top dollar for whatever it may be. So, oh, we take one more? Okay, very good.
Can you describe the sales process of like something you acquire and then how it's handled through the auction process, and then lastly, what you charge for these?
Yeah, sure. The practical matter is basically you contact me or someone like me in a different auction house, and they'll assess it from photographs and descriptions of what it may potentially be valuable at. And so, like I said before, with an auction estimate, you can go by that. We'll set a reserve price, which is a minimum that it could possibly sell for. You make the decision whether you want to sell or not. We'll have the sale date. It's usually at least 2-3 months in advance because we have to put together the auction catalogs. And then basically the seller's fee, it's anywhere from 20% down lower. When you're dealing with smaller auction houses, it can be as high as 40%. At Heritage, our standard is 20%. If you have anything over, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000, I can cut that rate pretty low. And then just make sure when you're dealing with an auction house, they don't hit you with any extraneous fees for marketing, photography, insurance. We don't do that in Heritage. We just do a flat rate. And so it's just a one percentage of what it actually sells for. And so just make sure, because the smaller auction houses will do that, where they'll say, oh, it's only 1.5% for insurance. It's $500 per lot per item for photography or whatever else. That can all add up. And so especially when you're dealing with a larger collection, it can really add up. And I've done that with at Christie's. They would charge a lot, for all those little extraneous things, and have to deal with very unhappy clients when they get hit with that $60,000, kind of cut at the end of the day. So Heritage, we make it very simple, and I don't want to do like a sales pitch here, but because I'm not supposed to do that. So, but call me, I'll get you the best deal. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. That was really interesting. We've been looking forward to you coming here. So thank you for sharing your time with us. And so, as you saw, a book recognizing our program, our collection, we collect books, and we, in lieu of a speaker's gift, we'll donate that book to our adopted school, Celia Clinton, and we built quite the library over the past several years. And so this week's book is Minions, Seek and Find. I need to grab that one before kids get hold of it too and read it. All these books are so interesting. Okay, upcoming programs. Next week is Judy Brigham, our district governor. So come. She'll be talking about her vision for the district this year. And then September 20th, Nathan Pritchett with Fab Lab will be visiting with us. Ever since the MIT-sanctioned Fab Lab was started in Tulsa, area businesses have benefited from renting costly research and development time. In addition, thousands of elementary students have been exposed to fun STEM activities presented at the Fab Lab facility or through their mobile Fab Lab. So come here more and learn about the new multi-million-dollar Fab Lab plan for Tulsa. That was news to me, so that's exciting. So that's on September 20th, so mark your calendars. So thank you all for attending today's meeting. Thank you, visitors, for spending your time with us. Rotarians, I encourage you to go out, tell your Rotary story, and don't forget to bring a friend next week. Thank you.